I'm Allie Cartwright, and this is Q and Allie, where I empower you to live your best life. Today's Q comes from Cindy, and Cindy writes, Dear Allie, I'm hoping you have a way for me to help myself with my racing thoughts. My brain keeps bouncing from one thought to another. There are times I have no idea why I'm thinking what I am, and I have to try to trace my thoughts back to how I got there. It's completely exhausting. I have enough health problems without battling my thoughts, too. It can be especially bad at night if I wake up for any reason. During the day, I can sometimes find something to distract myself with to help quiet the thoughts at least a little bit. At night, I don't have that release. I've been known to lie there for quite a while until I either finally fall asleep or give up and get out of bed. This leaves me tired and cranky. This does not help my chronic pain condition or my mental health. Just writing this has been a struggle. I keep getting distracted by everything I need to do in the next few days. Each of those thoughts lead to something else. It's close to a never-ending battle. Please tell me you know of something that will help. I'm very close to losing my mind. Thanks, Cindy. Okay, first of all, Cindy, I am giving you such huge mental hugs because that is such a frustrating mindset to be stuck in, and I totally get it. Rumination or having your thoughts really controlling you is a huge issue in our society, and there's so many things that lead us into this issue. I could go on for days and days and days, but we're constantly fed this idea that we have to be so prepared and so ready or something bad might happen. There's so much fear wrapped up in everything nowadays, and it really doesn't need to be that way. And I'm really looking forward to you being able to break free of that, because it's a wonderful, wonderful feeling. It's as wonderful to break free of it as it is horrible to experience it. So, yay! Okay, so the first thing we need to do is establish a baseline. And what I mean by that is that we have to work on developing your focus. So we live in a society that does not really give us much opportunity to work on strengthening our focus. In fact, there's lots and lots of things that are demanded of us that actively make us undevelop our focus. We're trained to do so many things on autopilot and do things without thinking about them. And this is so unhealthy for us. I talk about it all the time because it's such a huge thing. It makes for so much disconnect and so much anxiety and depression. So it is absolutely key that you give yourself the opportunity to develop this. It's very, very simple, but it's not easy because we've been also very trained to be very, very hard on ourselves. And thankfully, when we develop our focus, we become more aware of this and can rewrite that script. But when you start working on your focus, your mind's going to wander a lot. If you don't have the ability to focus, that's what happens. Excuse me. So the most important thing starting out is be nice to yourself, as nice to yourself as you can be, really. And start by just giving yourself time to focus on your breath. I know that sounds super basic, but it's so vital. Because when you take that time to just close your eyes for a moment and really experience that breath and the physical sensations that happen in your body and how it takes this cyclical journey, and it's so life-giving. I mean, obviously we can't live if we can't breathe. So this is super empowering as long as you can allow yourself to stick with it. Because I gotta tell you, a lot of times when you're first starting out, you might go 10 seconds and your mind's off and running. But every time you realize your mind is off and running, you just go, oh, okay, breath. And you bring it back. And it's really a blessing in disguise every time your mind wanders, because every time your mind wanders, you get that opportunity to bring your focus back. And when you have the opportunity to bring your focus back, you're strengthening your ability to focus. You see? You can't develop it if you don't challenge it. So yay for Erasing Mind and giving us the opportunity to work on this. Just a little alternate perspective there. In addition to mindfulness meditations, such as focusing on the breath, it also really helps to develop the habit of becoming mindful during your day, really taking time to notice not only what's happening around you, but how you're experiencing what's happening around you. Mindfulness is such a wonderful gift because the more we practice it, the more aware we become. There's a lot of times when we react to things in a way that doesn't even make sense, but our mind is telling us a subconscious story about something else that happened similarly, and we just react. We do it all the time. But when you really, really practice that awareness, and you develop that awareness, and it becomes more a part of your everyday life, then you can really realize, oh, I don't need to be feeling that way because the situation is not warranting it, And even if you still feel it, and you will, that awareness allows you to not bring that up in the future, not react that way in the future. And also it allows you to feel that upset from whatever in the past has made your mind come to this conclusion. And when you feel it, you can actually process it and you can release it out. All too often, when we are experiencing something unpleasant, we feel like we have to stuff it down and so that we can deal with life, and we need to stuff it down and we need to not deal with it because it's just, it's bad. We don't want to feel that. But the thing is, when we stuff it down, it's in us and we're going to feel it constantly on a subconscious level. If you allow yourself to really go, okay, this is how this feels in my body. This is how this feels in my emotions. That's interesting. It just flows, and it flows right up and out of you, and you don't have to deal with it anymore. So I want to address your night anxiety specifically. I think one of the best things you can do is really take that idea of practicing your focus and apply it to those times when insomnia is kind of kicking your butt, because oftentimes it'll relax you to the point that you drift off without even realizing you're doing so. And at the very least, you're getting something productive done working on developing that focus. It's also actually very, very restful to the body when you work on that, when you practice those mindfulness meditations. So while it's not on the level of sleep, because we need sleep, it can provide a lot more rest than if you go do something else, if that makes sense. Another thing, you mentioned your chronic pain, and I want to address that, is mindfulness meditation can be excellent, excellent, excellent for chronic pain, because when you tune in, you can realize things about your pain that you never did. You can also help process out that pain, release that energy so that it doesn't have to be felt as much. It's not a cure, but it can be really, really powerful to be very, very aware of how you're experiencing everything in your body and your mind. So One thing that can be really good is if you have a specific point of pain, is to close your eyes, and when you breathe, direct your breath into that pain. Don't judge the pain. Try not to sit and judge the pain as bad or, oh, I gotta get rid of this. Just sit with it. Try to maybe be okay with it. You know, this is what's going on in my reality at the moment. And get really curious about it. Curiosity has such amazing power to take us out of intense judgment of our emotions, because a lot of times what we're experiencing isn't as bad as we think it is. And I'm not saying that your pain is not horrible. Believe me, I get it. But when we allow our minds to use their immense power to change our perspective, it really can create chemical changes in our body that allow us to feel less pain. It's so amazing. But you have to embrace this idea in order for it to work. I know you can do that though, because it's awesome. And I can tell you from firsthand experience that it really does work in amazing ways. Plus, when you bring so much awareness and curiosity to your pain, you're gonna find that your body starts to speak to you. You're gonna start to realize things that you can do to help it. And really, this works in your whole life. When you practice meditation, when you practice mindfulness, when you become really aware of your thoughts, it becomes really clear to you what you need to do in order to create the life you want to create, in order to see the world the way you want to see it. One final thing I want to address is that this is not about faking yourself out or lying to yourself. In fact, that's really, really the opposite of what you want to do. You want to be very, very real, very authentic, and trustworthy to you. So while you're getting curious, while you're getting aware, be super honest about how it feels for you. If it feels really nasty, then yeah, acknowledge that. And then examine what that nastiness is. Is it a bad feeling in your stomach? Is it tightness in your chest? You know, all those things. Really, it's such an amazing power to harness, as long as you're very, 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 very real with yourself. No toxic positivity here. I'm not saying that you don't want to remind yourself of positive things, but they have to be things that you can accept as true. For example, if you are having some major anxiety over something on your to-do list, you can remind yourself, well, that's something that's going to be taken care of tomorrow. It's nothing I'm going to be doing right now regarding that, so there's really no use in spending energy on it. And again, grace, it takes practice. You have to develop these habits. You have to really practice this being how you want to experience the world, aware and in control. But if you do embrace it, it just brings amazing results over time. So, if you're not sure what to start with, my recommendation is one, on the spot, when your mind is driving you nuts, see what you can do at that moment. If you can close your eyes and do a short little awareness, mindfulness meditation, that's awesome. If you need to be doing something, then you can just be very aware of what you're doing and how it feels and what your mind's doing. If you're wanting to have a solid practice with this, and I highly recommend developing the habit of meditating every day, I strongly suggest doing it first thing when you wake up, and then as you're lying in bed, getting ready to go to sleep. 5, 10 minutes, even 2 minutes when you're first starting out. If the fact that your mind does not focus for very long drives you crazy, just do it for a couple minutes at a time. It's fine. You're still developing. You're still growing. You're giving yourself that chance to progress rather than just sitting in the same cycle that's not working for you. Well, Cindy, I hope that this helped you, and I hope that this helped everybody else who's watching. Mindfulness is an amazing, amazing tool, and there's so many different ways to develop it and really get in control of our amazing minds. It's such a wonderful, wonderful blessing. Again, I'm Allie Cartwright, and this is Q and Allie. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful